What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another Peddlers MN video. In today's video, we're going to be doing a bike check on my 1995 Marin Palisades trail. Alright, for those of you who have not seen the build or the vinyl wrapping of this bike, you should definitely check those videos out. I uploaded them last week. And whilst this bike is relatively new to the channel, the bike has actually been built since late spring, early summer, around the time that we got the stimulus checks. And this bike actually has 850 miles on it now. Alright, so the goal that I had with this bike was to have an all-terrain bike, and I literally meant that I wanted to go on road, gravel, and single track with this bike. And I accomplished that by having two things at my disposal. The first thing that I had was two wheel sets. One with smoother tires for gravel riding and road riding, and then one with gnarlier tires for single track. The second thing that I had at my disposal that was really useful in having an all-terrain bike was I had two forks with the same crown race, so I was able to just swap them out. I actually had two different sets of brake pads with the brake line cut out for them. I kind of mentioned in one of my videos previously that I liked the idea of having a fork assembly, and so that's what I had. I literally would just pop out the brake cable, pop the new fork in, and then throw on the gnarlier tires, and this bike went from being like a gravel hybrid bike to an actual single track 26er. Now, to be honest, I actually went out and bought myself a full suspension mountain bike, and you guys will be seeing plenty of it soon, so I'm not really going to go into too much detail about it, but what came with that is the fact that I don't really use this bike for single track anymore. I still have the second wheel set. I still like the idea of having extra gnarly tires for certain situations, but this bike isn't, in my mind, a mountain bike anymore. It's a gravel bike. Alright, so let's get things started with the frame and fork. This bike is full chromalloy. Alright, for wheels, I mainly run this on a set of Bontrager race lights. I do have an alternate set of wheels. They are heavier and they're not as nice as these ones. I'll talk about them probably once I really hone in on my second wheel set decisions. I'm still kind of trying tires and trying to decide what I want to do with that. Wrapped around these Bontrager race lights are Panaracer Tour tires. They're 26 by 1.75 and they're wire bead. Now I'm actually running these tubeless. I did it the super cheap way. I just took an old tube that failed me, cut out the valve, used Gorilla Tape as the tubeless tape, and like I said, I used wire bead tires. It's been pretty bulletproof. I did have one issue with the front tire about 100 miles into setting it up tubeless. I retaped it, and I've put about 500, maybe 600 miles on the bike with the tubeless setup. The rear has been completely flawless, and the front has been good ever since that one issue. Alright, so for the drivetrain, I am running a 1x9 setup. But let's start with the pedals, since that's the one thing that everyone tells me they love about this bike. Honestly, I'm not sure how to pronounce these, but I think it's Mizera. These pedals are super cheap on Amazon. They really match the aesthetic of the bike, and for flat pedals, they aren't my favorite, but they're definitely not my least favorite ones I've ever used. Alright, so for the crank set, this started off as a Vuletta triple crank set that I bought off of Amazon for cheap. Honestly, it's not too great. It's really heavy, and it doesn't look amazing. It's also been scratched very easily. But what I did was I removed all of the chain rings and I bought a separate 34 tooth narrow wide chain ring for the 1x setup. I wanted the 34 tooth so that I could have close to a 1-to-1 ratio for climbing, especially with single track in particular. Minnesota's not very hilly, so it doesn't matter as much on the road. In the back, I am running an 11 to 34 tooth 9-speed cassette with a Shimano Dior rear derailleur. So over in the cockpit, we have a 25.4 millimeter diameter handlebar. I honestly don't know the width of these, but they're not terribly wide. They're not nearly as wide as my mountain bikes. If I was gonna guess, I'd say probably 50 centimeters, maybe 55. Honestly, I just threw the cheapest, nicest looking lock-on grips that I could find on Amazon, and then I'm running the 9-speed Alivo shifter. And then I have these really nice Shimano servo brake levers. They offer really great modulation for V-brakes, and I'm thoroughly impressed with them, honestly. I have plans to convert the bike to drop bar, and these brake levers make me not want to do it. And honestly, I might not. We'll see. All right, so for saddles, I am running a Specialized Body Geometry gel saddle. All right, so there we have it. That is the bike check on my 1995 Marin Palisades Trail. If you enjoyed the video, you guys know the deal. Be sure to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already. Feel free to drop a comment if you have any questions about the bike, and I'll gladly answer those. The season is coming to an end. I hate to be one to say it, but with that being said, I haven't filmed any of the riding that I've done on the Marin, even though I've put about 850 miles on it. So that's something that I'm going to try to change. Pretty soon here, there's going to be a lot of ride videos coming out on the channel. None of those are on the Marin, but I have done a lot of riding this summer, and I have filmed a lot more of it than I realized initially. Just like I said, none of it's on the Marin, so a big goal for the rest of the year is to try to do some pretty epic gravel rides on the Marin and film those for you guys. But stay tuned, there will be a lot of ride videos coming out. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.